Hello and welcome back to the Chronicles of a Gooner. I'm your host, Harry Simiu, and I am joined for Transfer Talk today by the brilliant Chris Davison, sports reporter. How you doing, mate?
I'm good, Harry. How are you?
Not too bad, mate. Not too bad. Glad to have you back
Good.
on, of course, and
It's
hoping
good to
we
be
can
good. It's good to be on.
good stuff. Hoping we can get talking through some of the transfer rumours that are surrounding Arsenal at the moment. Just a quick show today, nothing too long. Nothing too laborious. We're just going to discuss some of the latest rumours and then answer some of you guys' questions that you've been putting to us throughout the day via Twitter. Chris, first of all, there's been reports that Yacine Adli is set to sign for Arsenal from PSG. There's been talk that it's a 3-year deal with an additional 2 as an option at the end. What do you know about this so far? Is it happening? Because we've not heard anything concrete yet, have we? I think there's just been a few reports from a few sort of media outlets.
Yeah, well, quite a few reliable media outlets have been reporting it for a while, actually, and it seems like it is all done now, which is really good news. It seems to be that Arsenal are going to pay in a sort of 200,000 region in that region. £200,000 for him. So I'm really excited about this signing. To be fair, Harry, from what I've heard and from certain little clips I've seen of Adli, he seems like a real good talent, and it seems like Midland, Tat and Emery were very keen on bringing him in.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. And I've read sort of some reports on him as well. In the first Transfer Talk show, I ran through 5 or 6 players that we were linked with and a sort of a few bits and pieces on each. And one of the things that came to my attention when looking at Adli, you know, he's supposed to be an exciting attacking midfield player. Apparently, he's quite tall and he doesn't look like your standard centre midfielder, or sorry, attacking midfielder, I should say. So it'd be interesting to see, you know, if he does come in, how he'll blend in. I guess the Emery link is big in this one, isn't it? Because
definitely.
We've heard that, you know, Emery's sort of taking him under his wing a little bit during his time at PSG, and he owes quite a bit of his development to the Spanish coach, of course. Now, another player that it's been spoken about, again, no announcement yet. Socrates Papastathopoulos is set to join us, apparently. Yes, I'm probably one of the few people that can pronounce his name properly. That's down to my Greek background. It's not because I've been practicing. What do we know about this one? Because, you know, again, everyone said it was done, yet we've seen nothing announced. What's going on?
Well, from what I understand, and obviously we've seen all the reports in the media as well. It's the last few days has literally just been about dotting the I's and, you know, crossing the T's with the deal pretty much. Obviously, on Tuesday, we got a confirmation on Lichtsteiner. And obviously today there's been a kit launch as well. So I think Arsenal are sort of, you know, spacing the announcements out a little bit and hoping it gets the biggest reaction as they can get, obviously. And you know, I think it could be any time now when we hear something. And like I've said, and obviously the media have been reporting, he's already been in London and completed his medical. So it seems very close to being all finished now. It's just literally the official confirmation and the announcing we're waiting for, really.
Yeah, and I mean, we've been told that he turned down Manchester United. I don't know how true that is. His dad was on a Greek radio station saying that the deal was done, and I actually heard that interview. He said that the deal was done. He said that Manchester United also came in for his son, but his son preferred to join Arsenal. Another one who seems to be excited by the project, I guess, that's going on.
Yeah, and I'm really excited, actually. I'm sure you've seen, Harry. I've just done an interview with a commentator. His name's Dan O'Hagan. He's worked a lot in the Bundesliga, commentating and reporting on stuff, and he's seen Socrates a lot in the last few years. And I've done an interview with him, and he's given me and he's given all of us Arsenal fans a really good insight into the sort of player we're getting. And I'm putting that out later today. So I really do encourage everyone to read it. It's an interesting read, and it seems from what I've seen, we're getting a very good player.
Fantastic stuff. And guys, if you're not already following Chris, make sure you follow him at @CDavison_AFC. brings you all the Arsenal news quicker than most, to be fair, I've got to say. You're normally one of the first I see on my timeline, so keep up the great work.
I'll try my best.
Good stuff. And guys, make sure you check out this interview, because if Chris says it's great, then it definitely is, and it's definitely going to give plenty.
Camera's falling down. Look.
That's all right, no worries. That's the thing with doing live shows. These things happen, mate. No worries.
You got the headphones in.
Yeah, don't worry. Not a problem at all. Right, Gelson Martins, the Sporting Lisbon midfield player. Now, there's been talk that we've had a bid rejected for him and that the player himself is now unhappy with his club. What do we know about this?
Well, I've got to be honest, Harry, I haven't heard too much myself about Gelson Martins. It's obviously, I've seen the media reports and a lot of it is coming from Portugal. Apparently, we've had a bid rejected. Although we're not too sure how legit these reports are at the moment. But it does seem that a few Sporting Lisbon players aren't happy at the moment, because apparently their own fans attacked the training ground or something to that effect. William Carvalho is another player who I personally like, and their goalkeeper as well is reportedly unhappy because of this. So that apparently, according to these reports, that they're considering of terminating their contracts, so they can then go to another club on a free. So there's that side of the reports, and there's obviously this side of Martins being unhappy because they've rejected a bid from Arsenal for him. So, I mean, it's a difficult one, really. I mean, we are obviously looking to try and get in a winger, if possible. And I think, if he does end up going on a free, if he does terminate his contract, if something was to happen to that effect, I think we've got to be looking at him. It would be silly not to, because he's a very talented player.
Yeah, definitely. And I was going to say that as well. I'm a bit wary of reports coming out of Sporting at the moment, because, like you mentioned, there was an incident at the training ground where a group of fans somehow got in and sort of attacked the players. That's the word that's been used. I haven't seen it, so I can't really comment. But it seems as though a lot of these players have got their sort of agents trying to engineer moves away from Lisbon. So it's one to take with a pinch of salt, I guess. Right, we've come to the point where we are going to go to some of the viewer questions. They've been coming through to us today via Twitter. If you're not following us, get following at Chronicles_AFC. It's at the bottom of your screen there. Right, let me dig out the first one. Now, Chris, I'm going to fire these over to you. The first one comes from former Gunners striker Kevin Campbell. So thank you, Kevin, for contributing. And Kevin's always really supportive of us on Twitter and stuff. So for that, we thank you, Kevin. Now, his question is, do you think Unai Emery is playing it smart by recruiting experienced, seasoned players? Chris, in your opinion?
Yeah, I think it's very much needed, in my opinion. A lot of people I've spoken to about the signing of Lichtsteiner and the imminent arrival of Socrates. A lot of people are saying that for so long Arsenal have lacked that steel and that brute of a character in the squad, and that sort of experience. And I think it's a good idea. I think not only will they help improve the younger players at the club, but they will be leaders. They're experienced players, and I think it's a very welcome additions. And I'm hoping it will help the squad overall.
Yeah, definitely. Completely agree. And I know from watching plenty of clips today that Socrates in particular is a bit of not a troublemaker. I think that's the wrong word to use, but he doesn't shy away from a battle. That's something that you can certainly say about him. We've actually got a follow-up question to that. And this one comes from Mike Hernandez, who's on Twitter at USA Gooner 1886. Again, massive support of the show. Thank you so much, Mike. He asks, do you gentlemen think it's Emery making the signings? I thought the whole reason in having Mislintat and Raul at our club was to take the burden off the manager. I thought Emery was perfect for the job because he had the exact same structure at Sevilla. Now, Chris, do you think Emery is completely sort of away from the transfer process? I feel as though he will still have some input, even though maybe he's not the one getting the deals over the line. I don't know what you think.
No, I get the same impression, Harry. I think Mislintat and Raul are sort of the main people now at the club that will be um, looking at the players and sort of negotiating with the players as well, and even putting names forward. But I think Emery will, and it will be and is having a say about potential signings. I think obviously from what we've heard, he's played a bit of a part in this Adley deal. Yeah, definitely. I mean, obviously, we've seen with Mislintat since he's come in, he's obviously been looking at the Dortmund players, and that's evident. It's obvious to see that is Mislintat doing that work, and sort of with the German links, we're still being linked with Lernbino, at Leverkusen, the goalkeeper, and also Soyuncu and a couple of other, German players or players that are in Germany at the moment playing in the Bundesliga. So that is all Sven Mislintat work. Obviously, we've heard about Raul earlier. Apparently he knows Seri well, who plays for Nice, and they've had talks together and so on, so on. So I mean, yeah, definitely they're the main two personnel at the club that will be sorting these transfers out. But now and again, definitely Emery will be having his say in things.
Yeah, I agree. I think it's a triple effort, I guess. I guess you can't sign players completely behind the manager's back. The manager needs to identify what he needs, I suppose. Otherwise, that it doesn't work, does it? Next question is from Mr. DJ at Expat Gooner. Again, another massive follower of the show. I have to say thank you to these people because it's because of you guys that obviously people are watching and listening, of course. Now, thoughts on why English clubs have hamstrung themselves by agreeing to an earlier closed transfer window than the rest of the European leagues. Does that make deals harder to sort out, in your opinion?
I mean, yeah, it could have its effects. I think with all these, you see quite a lot often, especially with the World Cup coming up now, a lot of teams want to get their main transfers over the line before the World Cup starts, so they have clarity over the situation. Yeah, I mean, if the transfer window closes before, or sooner than it has done in the past, it does, I guess, make things a little bit harder sometimes. I think you still see now that a lot of deals don't go through until the last day of the transfer window. That's why deadline day is so hectic and manic sometimes, because some things just go right down to the wire. So, yeah, like I said, it's sometimes with some clubs, they like different clubs like doing it differently, don't they? And some clubs like getting things done early, which seems to be the way Arsenal are doing it, which is a very welcome change, really. But yeah, it could have its ups and downs, I guess.
I mean, yeah, and for me, I actually think it's a good thing. I think in future years to come, closing the transfer window before the season starts will be a positive. I think it's a bit different this year because of the World Cup. It means you've got less time to do business because those players are away for a month. Some of them.
Yeah, exactly.
But overall, I think it's a good move because you don't go into the season with that uncertainty. These are your players at least until January, and you've got to get on with it. Whereas, we know ourselves. We started the season with speculation around Ozil's future, around Sanchez's future, and it just doesn't do anybody any favors, does it? Right. Another question. This one has come from Freddie AFC Owusu. Just a quick one here, Chris. What do you think of buying both Decore and Nzonzi to give us balance and stability? Me personally, I don't think we'd sign both.
No, I don't think we'd sign both either, Harry, unless maybe a big figure in that midfield or even two midfielders was to leave. But at the moment, just going by the speculation, it looks as if we're looking more increasingly likely for Ramsey to stay more than what Wilshere is. I mean, I rate both players, Decore and Nzonzi, very highly. Obviously, Nzonzi is a little bit older, and Decore is younger. I think he's in his mid-20s and still got quite a few years left in him. And from what I've seen in his time at Watford so far in the Premier League, he's been really impressive. And again, Emery has worked with Nzonzi before. They both know each other well, and from the media reports, it looks as if Sevilla want them to pay the full price for Nzonzi. Yeah, I mean, I'd be happy with either. There's obviously quite a few other names going around for that position too. So we'll have to see what happens. But yeah, they're both very good players.
Yep, I agree. Just a couple more questions. This one comes from Abid. He says, wingers for next season. Are we sticking with Welbeck or Iwobi, or are we in the market for anyone else? If so, whom? Now,
sorry. Go on, Harry. Yes, sir.
We just have to stress before we answer these questions that we don't know any more than you guys know. We don't claim to be in the know. We just make assessments based on the same reports that everybody else has access to, and I think that's important because there's been a lot of sort of drama around Twitter, hasn't there, in the last few weeks about people claiming to be in the know. So just thought we'd lay that out there. But Chris, from the reports that you've seen, do you know of any sort of links to wingers?
Well, going by the reports, we've seen that Arsenal are looking to try and bring in a winger, that's where we've seen the Malcolm links still sort of coming from January. Obviously, recently being linked with Martins as well, and obviously Pavon from Boca Juniors. He's still a player that's been linked with recently. So I mean, I'd like to think Iwobi has got a future at the club because he's still a young player. I've been a little bit critical of him, last season because I just didn't think he was good enough at all to be playing for Arsenal at the moment. And I've often said that alone would do him good. But this is the thing, Harry. You just don't know what the players' reactions will be under and how they will do under a new manager. It's one of the reasons. A good example is when we got linked with Marouane Fellaini the other day. A lot of fans went into absolute meltdown because they don't rate the player at all, and they just, because of his time at Man United, they just don't want him. They just don't think he's good enough. But when you look at his time at Everton, he was a really good midfielder, and a lot of clubs were after him, including Arsenal at the time as well. I think because he was playing so well and doing really well at Everton. And because of his time at Man United, the way he's been used and the playing style maybe hasn't suited him well, you don't know how a player like that would do when he'd come to move to another Premier League club under a new manager such as Unai Emery. You don't know if the coaching staff would get him improving, and the manager himself, and would a new way of playing do well. So I mean, it's difficult to say, but the same goes for Welbeck when we're talking about those wide positions. He's been a sort of a little bit of an inconsistent player in the past. Does pop up sometimes with some important goals and some good goals as well, but he'll have weeks where he's not playing so well. So I mean, it does seem as if Arsenal want to bring in another winger, and we'll see if that does end up happening. I think they do want to focus on the defensive recruitments first, and see where it goes from there.
Yeah, and I guess that's got to be the priority, isn't it? Based on last season's performances, that it has to be. There's no doubt about that. Right, guys, that brings us to the end of Transfer Talk episode 2. My thanks to Chris Davison for joining me once again. Chris, do you want to just remind everybody of your Twitter handle, and so they can check out the interview that you're going to release later on this evening? Yeah, sure. It's @CDavison_AFC. Obviously, just always keeping all the fans up to date. And like you said, I'll be releasing an interview with a football commentator about Socrates later on today. Lovely, brilliant stuff. And I've got an announcement to make myself as well. The Chronicles of a Gooner book is officially available to order now on Amazon. If you check us out on Twitter, there's information there, and the link is in the bio. Features interviews with Ray Parler, Kevin Campbell, Tom Watt, and Robbie Lyle. So it might be worth reading if you're a dedicated Gooner like myself, and hopefully you guys enjoy it. Until next time, take care.